Welcome in, Paul Catalina and Steven Simcox, the Wednesday Wonderkind.
I like it, yeah.
Yeah. You know, I mean, you may not be a Wonderkind very long. I mean, like, you're still in your...
I'm in my 30s now.
You're in your 30s, so you can still
fit.
do it, yeah. You hit 35, it's all over. I probably... Garrett knows. It's like, once you hit 35...
Oh, yeah, it's downhill.
That's the end of the line?
That's where, when you hit 35, like 35 in a day is where you start thinking about, like, 40's the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the next thing. And then each passing birthday in the 30s is you try to be, like, in your 30s a little bit more. Now, your 40s are great. I think my 40s are great. Garrett's not 40 just yet. But 40s are great. I love my 40s. Love it. But, like, it is a hard thing to, like, wrap your head around because you think about, I am my parents' age when I thought they were the worst. Like, the most embarrassing point of my life was my parents were in their 40s and I was a teenager. Mm-hmm. And now I'm going to be in my 40s. So even though I don't have teenagers, does that make me, by just the law of the universe, embarrassing?
I don't think about my age a ton, but there are some things like, you know, people are like, are you a morning person or like a night owl? Like, are you more productive in the evenings, early in the morning? And I used to be like, oh, yeah, late at night. And then I realized the last few years, I'm like, oh, I just had no responsibilities for a long time. Like, I could stay up till midnight because I would wake up at 8 or whatever. And I mean, I had a job, but I didn't have to be there super early. So it was very different. And now, like, by 9 o'clock, I'm usually falling asleep. But I do remember watching the Olympics this year, and I can't remember the swimmer's name, but he was like 32 years old. I'll be 32 in about a month and a half. And they were just talking about him like he was the bravest man in the world to be out there trying to do something athletic at 32. It's like, look at this amazing old man.
Most people at 32 drown.
They didn't get near a pool. They just started falling in.
Unless we remember the story of Lester Simpson, who at 34 tried to make an Olympic comeback and just 50 meters in,
fell in the pool.
Drowned.
Yeah,
just drowned.
Like a rock. Straight to the bottom of the pool.
Yeah, we all remember those 1968 games with the tragedy, and then he floated up because it was a 1500. So, and they couldn't stop it; they just had to go past him. And
it was like a buoy in the water.
Hope he didn't float into the other lanes.
Yeah, that was a humbling moment. They're like, "Oh, look at this guy trying to do it in his old age."
Lest we forget 21-year-old Hungarian swimmer who was cost the bronze by the carcass of Lester Simpson.
Couldn't get around it.
It's still under protest all these years later. But
somebody's logging on, like Googling Lester Simpson now.
Yeah. Here's the thing about the Olympics. You mentioned at 32. So you have these sports where, like, when you're in your 20s, even like gymnastics, when you get into your 20s, it's like,
you're over the hill.
You better be at your peak because the next time it comes around, you won't be in this thing.
Right.
And then you see a sport like dressage, and the lady who won the gold medal is 58 years old. And you're like, well, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure who the real athlete is here.
There's some that are better than others in that regard. The breakdancing one, there was like a 42-year-old woman.
Well, she was the one for Australia. Ray Gun, right?
Ray Gun kind of schemed her way onto the stage. Yeah. She's faced some backlash since, but
she's created a fervor. Like, look, to me, it's worth it to be a meme for the rest of your life.
I mean, hey,
where people she brought people joy,
right? Yeah,
confusion.
She'll probably confusion for sure.
Yeah.
She'll bounce back. It'll be fine.
Yeah. She's like a college professor.
People will feel sorry for her. She'll get her 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
Who was the old guy that, like, the Turkish guy who went out there and was just shooting guns with no
all these
no
other
gear
people
on?
have, like, all this ridiculous gear.
Yeah.
And I think about that, like, I thought about that right after that I was watching archery. And archery has all this gear too, and like the bows have these balancing things on it. And look, if I was trying to like legit shoot a deer or something with it, I would want all that stuff. I don't want to just fire off arrows into nowhere. But I thought for Olympic target practice,
it's a little much.
It just felt a little bit much. I don't like. Yes, they're more skilled than me. I'm not knocking them, but I would like to see the same thing with a guy just walk up with like a bow and a string and just be like,
just start going, sweatpants on and everything.
That guy just walked up and was like, he had his hand in his pocket.
He looks like he found out he was in the Olympics that day. Like he was walking around and they're like, "Hey, you want to shoot guns?" And he's like, "Sure, yeah."
Yeah. That guy also to me is terrifying because
Oh, yes.
like that's one of the like he had the look of a hitman.
Yeah.
Where
I don't think we need to dig too much in his past.
no.
It's not going to be a
his
feel
present.
good. Yeah, it's not going to be a feel good story anymore.
No, like, you know,
Might be a good movie.
yeah. They call him the medalist.
Hitman turned Olympic champion.
Yeah. Or no, he was just an Olympic champion turned hitman.
Oh, yeah.
That's why, like, you know.
There you go.
Yeah. And so he just showed up and was like, okay, boom, boom, boom. So the medalist. And then he goes back to Turkey and somebody calls him and says, we have a target for you. He's like, I don't get out of bed for less than $2 million.
So open a Word document, Garrett. Let's knock out the screenplay while we're doing this show.
Yeah.
Probably get a straight to Netflix movie.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't think that's as hard.
No. I mean, I've
If
been
you
around
wanted
Netflix.
to take a bit of a loss on what you thought your movie was going to be, like, I think we could sell a movie to Netflix.
Especially if it was like Christmas themed. There's a ton of those.
Oh man. Like, I mean, I remember when, like, my wife loves Hallmark Christmas movies and Great American Family Christmas movies or Gaff.
They're on the Gaff Network, honey.
Yeah. Great American Family. Well, only one kind of family.
Not a ton of diversity on that channel?
Yeah. And one kind. There's one kind of family. So, but she watches them and they're all like, they have these, and I know like the big actors on it probably make really good money because they're the name that are going to carry it. And look, if you're a working actor, like you cannot begrudge a working actor of taking a gig, no matter how stupid it is.
Right.
Like
There can be a long time between jobs.
yeah, exactly. It's not like you wake up in the morning after you finish one thing and you go right to the next one. You know, you have to, you know, do some stuff. You know, you're not going to like everything you do, just like nobody likes everything they do in their job. But it's like they have a search and replace, and they'll just take out the job of the main characters and replace it with a different winter-themed job.
Yeah.
And then, like, okay, replace all Jasons with Devons. So his name is Devon. He's no longer blonde. He's got dark hair.
Now he owns a Christmas tree farm.
Yeah, yeah, that's what they do. And, you know, then they just then they go from there and tweak it on, well, this is too repetitive, so let's change this up a little bit. You know, why they can't be together at first. So I think we could do it for the medalist.
Yeah, we can make that happen.
Yeah, the medalist. He's Turkish, which sounds scary enough.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, like I don't know, like
He goes back home.
I'm thinking this is a you know, something for like Steven Dorff we could get Steven Dorff. We could definitely get Steven Dorff.
He's probably available. Yeah.
Yeah, Steven Dorff. You know, I mean, Neeson might do it. He seems to do a lot.
Yeah, I haven't seen Liam in a movie in a while.
Yeah, so
There
maybe
was, there was some where he was like driving a car. I don't remember that one, but
Yeah.
I also heard that, speaking of that type of actor, Jason Statham, somebody told me to watch The Beekeeper.
Yeah.
Have you seen that yet?
No.
I haven't either, but apparently it's good.
No. I'm Jason Statham.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I can do like again, another one, like they do the Hallmark Christmas movie thing for his, like, I'm an assassin. I'm a beekeeper. I'm going to make this right. That's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
So, you know.
You got to know your niche, man.
Yeah.
You got to understand what your strength is.
Hobbs, I'm sure I'll kill you.
It's like how late in his career Nick Cage has just been like, I'm just going to be a weird guy.
Oh, now look, Nick Cage has two kinds of movies. Amazing movies and terrible movies.
Yeah.
And he goes hard in the paint in both of them.
He does.
So
You're gonna get Nick Cage's.
you're going to
best
get Nick
every time.
Cage's best. You're not maybe going to get everybody else's best in the bad one because they're like, I can't keep pace with this guy. And then like in the good ones, you're like, you know, you've got people who are ready to match the level.
Yeah.
So
It's like Adam Sandler. He's gonna do 2 or 3 a year. One of them might not be great, but you take them all.
yeah, no, look, Adam's just having fun.
Yeah.
That's the
He's just
thing.
putting his buddies in there.
Yeah, he's having fun. You got to respect it. But
Except for
like,
Uncut Gems, that didn't seem fun. It seemed like a good movie, great movie.
Yeah,
didn't seem like a fun one.
It was the most stressed I've ever been watching a movie.
I had to stop midway through the first time I watched it.
Like, oh my god!
I was not expecting.
Emery, have you ever seen Uncut Gems? Yeah, it's the tensest thing in the world.
Yeah, I have enough anxiety in my own life. I don't need.
Yeah, I
don't need to add on
to it. Going through, it never stops. There's not 1 second in the movie where it stops being tense. Like even like backstory, the backstory is tense.
Yeah,
like there's no happy moment that led him to this point. He's just
Kevin Garnett's there for some reason. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. Kevin Garnett kills it as Kevin Garnett.
He does good, yeah.
He does it good.
He does well.
As like an a-hole version of Kevin Garnett.
I think that's just Kevin Garnett, brother. we've kind of Disney-fied Kevin Garnett, but he's always kind of been that way.
Yeah, just buying a rock because it was lucky.
All the fun trash talk stories from Kevin Garnett are just like NBA players be like, yeah, he just called me horrible names for 2 hours. It was so fun. Like, I don't think he was having fun.
You really felt that about
He's not Don Rickles. Like I'm not sure he was in on the joke. I think he just thinks you're trash at basketball.
All right, Steven, first topic of the day. Who do you believe is America's coach in college football? If you had to select someone who America could get behind, and I say this because we're in an election year, so if we were going to elect America's coach, who would be your candidate?
It's a great question.
And it's got to be like the way I look at it is somebody that is not very polarizing, right? And because it can't be Kirby Smart, right? He's the establishment.
Yeah.
It's got to be a current coach. Nick Saban's retired, so you can't say it's Nick Saban, and it wouldn't have been Nick Saban anyway. But if you had America's salt of the earth, this is the coach, who would that be?
Man, this is a really good question. A guy who, this is not my answer, but I think his image shift has been interesting. Like Nick Saban towards the end became a lot more popular. He sort of went through he had a ton of success. Everybody hated him, but then he was really honest and he's kind of a funny guy and forthright. And so I feel like his popularity grew. The person I'm going to say, I don't think you'll agree with me. He used to be very polarizing. I feel like he's actually kind of embraced who he is a little bit more and it's helped. But I would say Lane Kiffin.
I thought that's who you were going to say. Look, Lane Kiffin is a guy. Look, they always say the person who gets elected is the one you'd most want to have a beer with. That's usually the case.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I can go back candidate for candidate, and even though sometimes you win and sometimes you lose, and you were the beer guy, and now you're not the beer guy, it's because you changed, and then the other person was just so much not
right.
That person. But I mean, who would you rather sit and have a beer with? John F. Kennedy, who's banging Marilyn Monroe, or Richard Nixon? Bottom line,
right.
It's not even I'm not and again, I'm not trying to get political, but it's that
it's just a personable.
It's just
type
the
thing.
personable thing. And you can go back forever. Lincoln Douglas. Lincoln seemed way cooler, I guess.
Back in the 1800s, yeah.
This guy's got a cool hat. And look at that. I mean, he taught himself how to be a lawyer. What did you ever do, Stephen Douglas?
Built his own house? Yeah.
Nothing. Go away.
Go do something else.
Yeah, no. This guy's cool. He's tall. He can hoop it, even though we haven't invented that yet. I think there are guys in my mind that I think people could get behind, but I thought about, for certain parts of America, it would be like Mike Gundy.
Yeah.
Or a guy like Mike Gundy, or when Ed Orgeron was coaching, it might have been Ed Orgeron. Ed 2019 would have been America's coach. Because you couldn't not, unless you just hated LSU with every fiber of your being, which many people do, in the
I don't know
SEC.
how you could.
But you couldn't, even then, it's you compare it to Urban Meyer. If you hate Urban Meyer so much and you don't like it, but if somebody else was more friendly, was the coach of that team. Look, I'll just say it. I like Steve Spurrier way more than I like Urban Meyer. And I don't even mind that Steve Spurrier has a national championship under his belt that he won against Florida State as much as I would if it had been if the same situation had been flipped. Now I mind. but I mind less than if the situation was flipped, And so,
Yeah, Ed O's a great answer.
yeah, I mean, he's not eligible for America's coach now, but he would have been America's coach in 2019.
I don't think enough people know this person, but like Marcus Freeman would be
young,
a
exciting,
good one. Young,
energetic.
exciting, very carries himself really well.
Good sense of humor.
Yeah, understands kind of like the modern world pretty well.
I would say the characteristics have to be really good coach, not necessarily the elite of the elite.
Mm-hmm.
If they've won a national like an Ed O, but I think Pete Carroll could have won this title easily back in his time. Affable, does not take themselves too seriously, which means Dabo is out. And there was a time where Dabo maybe would have been this guy.
Yeah, because he was funny. I mean,
Yeah.
he was just kind of this fun Southern guy. I mean, I remember that. I think it was when they beat Notre Dame, and he gave that "Bring Your Own Guts" like post. Like he was getting interviewed on the field, and he's like, "I told my guys, BYOG, bring your own guts," and that kind of went viral, and it was fun to see him in that element. But he's changed a lot.
Yeah.
I also thought about Kirk Ferentz, but he's kind of gotten more prickly through the years.
Yeah, I mean, like,
he would do fine in the Midwest, obviously.
you find but I'm like, I might put him on the ticket to balance it out, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. He might be vice coach. I don't know. I would rather have a Kyle Whittingham who has a lot of that Kirk Ferentz in him, but also has just enough. I don't give a crap about this stuff. Where Kirk Ferentz right now, and I get it. Like everybody's like, your son sucks, and he's like, yeah, but he's my son. I love him no matter the fact. Most of this is really my fault. I hate the forward pass, and
you know who it would have been before he left? His job was Lincoln Riley.
Yeah,
I feel like he was just universally liked. He had a fun offense, and then he took the job at USC.
he's just destroying briskets.
Yeah, that.
I mean, you can't
Can't do
ahi
that.
tuna or whatever he's doing. You can't do that.
What about Dan Lanning?
Dan Lanning.
Dan Lanning.
Dan Lanning.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. I think he might be my leader right now. I notice I haven't said Mike Norvell because I think Mike Norvell is one of those guys that like
He's a regional guy for
he's
now.
a regional guy. Here's the other thing about him. He's not for everybody.
No.
Like he's really. I don't think he takes himself too seriously, but he's pretty damn serious. Like he's serious. Like he can't get up there and I've never seen him like have a press conference that's fun. I've never seen him have one that's contentious,
Yeah,
but I've never seen him have
he's
one
not
that's
joking around up there.
Yeah, he's not like Lane Kiffin making jokes about their sponsor the other day
Right.
and how many calories it has in it. Like that's a different thing altogether.
I know for me, two Big 12 coaches that come to mind, and one specifically for last year and this week is Neil Brown. The way he has kind of changed himself. I think him and Lance Leipold could be. Those are two guys I think you could really get behind. If you sat down with them and talked with them, I think you could really get behind those two.
I thought about Lance. My only thing is I'm just not sure how like those guys. Neither of those guys are very charismatic. I mean,
Right,
they're personable. I think they're easy to listen to. They're not going to get you super riled up. But I think the thing for Lane is he's just like he kind of fought against being like the villain or not the outcast, but just kind of the different. Like he's not your prototypical coach. And I feel like he sort of fought against that personality for a while. And he finally just embraced it and was like, okay, I'll be sort of the wild card. I'll be the guy that posts memes and has fun online. And he went after Paul Feinbaum recently. I mean, he's just like, he's kind of in a truth-telling mode right now.
He's not afraid.
Right.
Which I want from my coach. He's not afraid to push to push it a little bit. And he appears to have grown up.
Yes.
He appears to have grown up.
Yes.
He is maybe a reflection on a lot of us where we had a time in our life where we were almost cool, but we weren't what we are because we had to learn some things. And I think he's clearly the most successful of the Saban. He and Sark, the two of the Saban program.
Well, Kirby.
Well, yeah, but Kirby wasn't in the rehab program. Kirby
True.
was just in the feeder. Like Lane Kiffin and Sarkisian were in the Nick Saban Save Your Career program.
Yes. I need to put this on my resume so somebody will hire me type of thing.
Yeah, and they both crushed that.
What would Dion's approval rating be?
Oh man, he's
polarizing.
He's too polarizing.
But he's so fun.
Yeah, look, you put Dion, in a debate for America's coach against anybody. I mean, it's going to be advantage Dion. Like Dion versus Lane Kiffin in a debate would be really fun to see. So
those guys would have a blast. Yes.
Yeah, that would be good. Very rarely do you ever see two political candidates that both like debate. Like usually one of them is like, I just need to like paint this person as slick so that when I lose in this debate, I'll be like, well, I mean, you saw it. I mean, he's just slick, right? Can't trust a guy who has all of his notes prepared.
He sounds coherent. Yeah.
That's what they'll do. So in that one, you couldn't do that because they're both that way. And then occasionally you'll get a race that's two slick people, and you're like, I don't know how I feel about this at all. I feel like I need to shower every time either one of them says a sentence. I'm going to go light a candle at church and cry for the future of the world. But I like Chris Kleiman has a real down-to-earth vibe to me.
He does.
He's very, he's funnier than I think people realize. I don't know if people know this. You're too young. Everybody on this side of the room is maybe too young to remember Bob Dole in 1996.
Yeah, I don't.
So Bob Dole ran for president against Bill Clinton in 1996 and lost. I mean, it wasn't close. Bob was old. He's a veteran. He was wounded in World War II, and he had to hold. You remember he had to hold the pen to do that. I was 16. I went to see Bob Dole speak twice when he came to Fort Myers, and I would love to go to candidate speeches when I was a kid. I was into it. I was a nerd. It was always a cool thing to me. Like, this guy's running to be president. Yeah. We can just go here for free and listen to what he has to say. And so my dad and I would go. And Bob Dole on TV next to Bill Clinton just looked so old and rigid. You saw Bob Dole in person. I mean, he was just like riffing, telling jokes. He had material. Like, he had legit material. He had like 5 minutes on Strom Thurmond. I mean, it was good stuff. Really good stuff. And then he'd be on TV and he'd be like, well, we need to cut taxes. And you're like, well, yeah, we all know you need to cut taxes. And I'd be like, do some material, man.
Yeah, do the bits. Come on.
Yeah, let's go. let's
get to the comfortable stuff.
You remember when you played Fort Myers and Naples? Like, that was a hot show. The Ramada in Naples? Come on, man. You killed the Ramada.
Yeah, he had Young Paul's vote. He energized Young Paul.
Yeah, he killed the Ramada. This other guy, he's a bit of more of a rock star vibe, and you can tell that he gets ass, but,
He can play the saxophone.
Yeah. None of us like his wife. We get it. But, you, man, let's
show. Yeah.
Let's get in the Catskills, buddy. Let's take this on the road. And it didn't happen. But, yeah, okay, so let's settle on America's coach. Let's have a vote. We're going to say Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, that's my nominee.
Lane Kiffin. Garrett, who's your nominee?
Let's go Dan Lanning.
Dan Lanning. Okay. And my nominee will be Marcus Freeman.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to have a vote. Put it up in the chat room, somebody. Who is America's coach between those three?
This is our 538 poll that we're putting out there.
Yes. So,
who's the most hated coach today?
Yeah. Retired soccer worker threw up Mac Brown.
He missed his window.
Yeah.
Mac would be a good one.
Yeah.
You get a lot of age concerns with him.
Yeah.
Just joking. Mac's a fun guy.
Yeah. He is. He does not currently take himself too seriously. But when he was in the last waning years at Texas,
yeah,
he was taking himself too seriously.
Paul, who's the most hated coach in America now, college football wise?
See, now that Saban's gone, because Saban was probably universally loved and hated at the equal level.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Deion's got to be up there.
Deion, same thing as Saban.
Yep.
You either completely love him or you can't stand him. Kirby Smart's probably up there. What saves him is that there's a bombastic character in Colorado that, is always going to maybe catch people's attention faster than Kirby Smart. But, Kirby Smart's won a lot.
One of my first thoughts was Brian Kelly. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Garrett.
yes.
But I think people just think he's weird. I don't know if people hate him.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like, that dude's just kind of strange.
I don't know, man. I think a lot of people hate him.
Yeah, maybe that too.
Oh, look. Some of our Tech fans threw out Joey McGuire.
Oh, Joey could.
Here's the thing.
Joey might.
Joey, here's the thing about Joey. He's probably in the next phase of America's coach. He needs a little more success.
Yeah.
But like, I would certainly make him.
He would do super well. Yeah, he'd
I
do
would
really well
hope-
regionally.
Yeah, I like if he was
He's
speaker
like
of the,
up for next reelection.
speaker of the coach house.
Yes.
that would be good.
He's the rising star at the convention.
He's
right
a
now.
guy. He's a guy who could whip some bills. Like like hey, like if they want a rule change and get Joey McGuire behind that, like he's the guy you'd want to be like, hey, come here, Gundy, let me talk to you. come here. Man, I just love playing you in football. It's so fun. You're such a smart coach. Let's just do these jazz. Lubbock and Stillwater, underrated towns, right? Right. Oh, it's great. Yeah, man, it's so exciting. You know what we need to do? We need to change the rule in the kickoff. Let's change the rule in the kickoff.
Let's get it
you
done.
want it. I want it. Everybody wants it. This is really hard. The NFL's doing it. Come on, let's do it. And then Mike Gundy's like, yeah, what the hell ever. Okay, just I don't care.
Yeah, he's the mover and the shaker.
Yeah. No, I think so. I think when we do this again next year, when we vote for America's coach next year, Joey McGuire's got a better shot.
Oh, yeah.
So put the poll up in there, and we'll see who is America's coach between Marcus Freeman, Dan Lanning,
And Lane Kiffin.
We'll see. It's going to tell me a lot about your personality based on who you pick as well.
Yep.
Lane Kiffin's not the safe candidate.
No, he's not.
Dan Lanning's I think Marcus Freeman's the safe candidate.
For sure.
He's not controversial. Dan Lanning can be a little controversial. Lane Kiffin's very controversial, So we'll put that poll up in the room, America's coach.